Welcome to Sleek Notes E-commerce Boost podcast, your chance to learn from the e-commerce experts so you can boost your business.
Hey all, in this episode we're going to have a look inside the e-commerce crystal ball. The co-founder of Well Street, Sïmon Saneback, tells you everything you need to know about the future of e-commerce and updates you on the latest trends you must follow. Let's go. If you could just start out by introducing yourself.
So I'm Sïmon. Sïmon Saneback. I've been working with the e-commerce industry for the past 10 years and I have a background as an entrepreneur since the age of 16.
Cool. And what do you do like in your everyday life?
So nowadays I'm working in an investment company which we founded last year. It's called Well Street, and we're one of the fastest growing investment companies here in Sweden. So we invest in early stage tech startups basically.
Cool. So in this interview, we'll be speaking about the future of e-commerce. I know it's difficult, but it's probably nice for the listeners to get a hold of the current trends and where you see the industries going. So what are the biggest trends in the e-commerce industry right now?
So there's basically a lot of trends, and it's not one of my favorite topics talking about trends because people think, this guy is trying to predict the future. That's not what I'm trying to do. But what I've seen in the past couple of years and where we're heading right now is we're moving away from kind of the trends of the buzzwords, and we're talking about what's real for the consumers, how we can help them. And I think one of the words that kind of stuck in my head right now is personalization. Because looking back in time, that was something that was only the biggest players were able to do just because they had the money, or maybe they had the data, or they had the tools to do it. And now it's kind of on a hygiene level. Everyone needs to do this. You need to show personalized search results. You need to have the right products on your site, and you need to communicate with the customer at the right time. So there has been a lot of shift, and I think one of the biggest trends, if we're going to use that term, I think is that the consumers have been more and more illoyal. And I think we've seen, I've mentioned this in a couple of interviews before about the price war. So we've seen kind of a tremendous price war online where everyone is able to sell a product $1 or €1 cheaper than you. And so what's kind of stuck is basically the players that have been able to deliver an extraordinary customer experience. Those are the survivors.
If we're not going to use the term trend, let's maybe just say tendencies, maybe. So what of these tendencies do you find the most interesting or different from how it used to be?
So one of the things that I've seen recently. So we're recording this now in the beginning of November, right? This interview. So what I'm seeing right now is there is less meaning, or there's the meaning of these major shopping days is kind of diminishing right now. I saw an e-commerce player here in Sweden a couple of days ago that they have launched a Black Friday, but they have made it a Black Friday of October. I'm seeing some are trying to boycott this trend or this this big shopping day. I think what we can expect is that a lot of the things that we've used in the past, a lot of tools, we're seeing a lot of niches within niches. For example, one of the major things or kind of the things that I've recognized in the past 12 months is you've seen a lot of companies that are kind of solving a part of the customer journey. There's a company that is providing a wonderful experience when it comes to kind of returns. And then you have another company that is solving another issue when it comes to payment, or last mile when it comes to deliveries and so on. And I'm not sure if this trend is going to remain in 5 years from now, or whether there will be consolidation, because that has happened in the traditional retail. But that will be interesting. Another part of this, Julie, is I think automation. So everyone I'm talking to is talking AI. It seems like it's like teenage sex. Everyone is talking about it, but no one knows what it really means, right? But I see some e-commerce players, for example, implementing chatbots as an example. They're trying to automate a lot of the the heavy processes that they have in the past. And the question here is, are you doing this from a cost-saving perspective? Maybe it's not the right angle. If you're doing this to save resources and maybe focus on giving maybe a personalized experience for the ones that are asking, like a personal shopping or whatever aspect that is needed in your business, in your line of business, then maybe we have something that is changing in the industry.
Yeah, so your advice for using like chatbots and automation is to make the experience better and not just to save costs?
Yes. So in some of the companies that I'm talking to, I think if you use chatbots, that will automate kind of a part of your business, right? A lot of these frequently asked questions that are coming back, and I think that's fair, and it's I think it might be essential in the future. What is very important to remember is kind of the personal interaction, right? Talking to those customers and showing that they're talking to a human being and they're getting a certain service level. I think that is important. And then there is obviously all the technical aspects of what 2020 is going to bring us. That's a different topic.
It's time to have a closer look at the challenges the e-commerce industry is facing, and also find out whether it's a good or a bad idea to niche yourself in order to stay ahead of your competitors.
There's obviously a lot of challenges. What I think is, I think data is becoming a bigger challenge. Everyone is talking about GDPR at the moment. We're collecting a lot of data, and we are not really sure how to use it and why we're collecting it. And I think we haven't done quite a good job in Europe. And I'm probably generalizing a little bit, representing the Nordic market. But I think that is something that might be changing, that we will see, we might be able to apply the data that we are collecting online, maybe offline. And we're seeing kind of a lot of synergies between brick and mortar and online and vice versa. I think we also might be better in predicting purchase behavior in the near future, and start doing smarter remarketing, or kind of marketing in general, rather than the spammy one. I mean, what has happened with remarketing in the past 2-3 years, as an example, is what happened when we discovered newsletters, right, or email marketing, and it became kind of as a push channel, and then it kind of lost its value. And I think we need to learn from our mistakes and kind of do something that is personalized, that is smart, and that is applicable for each individual. Because now we're having the millennials; these are kind of the new customers, right? And this is the new generation that is coming up, and I think they need to be treated differently rather than this general kind of way of communicating and way of exploring or shopping. And a confirmation of this is all these up and coming apps or different portals that are kind of helping in discovering products and online shopping behaviors.
Okay, so you mentioned this a bit earlier about a niche within a niche. Would you say it's a good or a bad idea to be just a niche company, or is it better to have a broad selection of products?
Looking at it from an e-commerce player perspective, I think it's difficult to go and be a kind of a broad player, a generalist, because it's very tough being an Amazon or being a kind of a destination for everything. And I think that's something that some of the bigger guys have realized. There's a lot of rumors right now in the Nordics that a player like Amazon might enter the market, and that is kind of shaking up things. Even though we've heard a rumor like this a couple of times in the past decade, but it's very interesting to see the response from the market. When you see some of the bigger guys, they are. I think one Swedish company that has done a successful transformation is a company called Big Hemma. Which have kind of worked on a consolidation strategy. They're kind of collecting all the mid-sized players, and they're kind of creating a big conglomerate within their industry. And I think we will see similar behaviors from other players within other verticals when it comes to e-commerce, in combination with a physical presence, because I think pure players are really having a tough time when you have someone that is a generalist. Now, to answer your question, I think I would definitely not go into the generalist way of doing things, because I think if you are vertical specific and if you are more niched, I think you have a better potential of kind of having a better relationship to the customer. And because you have the knowledge, you have the products, and then it's not a matter of price, it's a matter of experience. And that's how you can win.
Yeah, so just be really good at one thing.
Yeah, or a vertical. It's a segment, yeah.
And just before you said pure players, can you just explain quickly what a pure player are and why they're at risk?
So pure players, when we talk within e-commerce, pure players is mainly, we talk about online pure players. So which means that companies that only have online presence, right? So they don't have any physical stores in that sense. Now, the issue with pure players is that traditionally a pure player is someone selling someone else's brands, right? So you're not a brand, you're not a destination. So the main reason why people shop at your site is because you're one of those generalists, right? It could be like a fashion portal. You're selling thousands of brands, right? But not everyone could be a Zalando. Not everyone could be an Amazon. And I think everyone is trying to kind of lock their positions right now in the market because it's very important, because there will be a huge shift, especially for the online pure players. And why is the reason? It's because they might have played their role. Because why should I buy from a pure player while we have brands who are focusing? They're very offensive. They're very aggressive when it comes to online strategy. So you have a lot of brands that are going online, that are selling directly. They want to own the whole supply chain. They have the manufacturing, the wholesale, and they want to own retail, because obviously it's the highest margins, right? So suddenly the pure players are stuck. They haven't built themselves a unique position to be the kind of the online destination of a certain segment. That's number one. Number two, the prices have gone up. The customer acquisition cost has gone up tremendously in the past couple of years. If you see Facebook marketing, or if you see Google Ads and so on, some of the biggest channels here in Northern Europe. And third, and most important of all, is that you might have, and you're seeing more and more marketplaces and major players that are coming in and taking big portion of the market. And that's why the pure players are at risk.
Oh, really? That's really interesting. So just to speak a bit more about where the e-commerce industry is going, I hear and read everywhere the importance of mobile versions. Is this aspect still lacking? Is there still e-commerce companies in general not doing well enough on the mobile aspect?
I think there is a huge shift that is happening right now. When talking about mobile, yeah, there is a lot of companies still that haven't adapted to the mobile revolution or evolution, if you want to call it that. But I think the number of those are kind of slowly kind of shrinking over time. And obviously, the companies who haven't jumped on the mobile train, they have lost market shares already. So making a comeback is not going to become that easy. Now, looking a couple of years ahead from now, I think what our perception of mobile first is kind of change a little bit, because right now when we talk about a mobile focus, we're talking about you're going to have a responsive web that works on all kind of devices. You should consider maybe having an application. You should build for AI and so on and so forth. But I think a couple of years from now, the perception is going to change in that sense that you must have kind of APIs. You should have built kind of, for example, the initiative a year ago that was launched by Google and was promoted by Facebook AMP for fast loading websites. I think there has been a big push towards e-commerce, but not so many e-commerce players have actually looked into this from this part of the world. There's like a handful of those in the Nordics that I can mention. I think another thing that will change is also going from mobile first to maybe voice first, thanks to devices like Alexa and other devices that might be essential part of our homes in the future.
You think of like intelligence where I ask my phone to find a pair of shoes for me, or what do you mean?
That's one aspect of it. Of course, I mean, you'll have these devices at home that might be able to help you, saying like, hey, I'm looking for something like this and this and this. I mean, we're not very far from having these if you look at the penetration rate of devices like this in the US, they have grown tremendously in such a short period of time. And I think the trend or that shift is coming to Europe as well. So yeah, you will be able to kind of ask for a certain color or a certain size or whatever, and this device might, suggest a product for you. Now, the interesting part is that most of those companies that are behind those devices, if that is Amazon or Google, they have obviously a commercial interest in this. So we will see kind of a very interesting, war between the four horsemen, as we call them, the four major players of how they're going to play this. And I think we will stop talking about, the traditional kind of like, I'm gonna have something focused on web and then mobile and maybe tablets and so on. I think we will not talk about screens in that sense, because we will have so many. We might have the Internet of Things, might be an established term at that point. We will have watches, and we will have other kind of smart devices that are part of our daily life.
Let's face the facts. Someone is always going to offer the same products as you, but at a lesser price. That means competing on price isn't an option. Here's Simon on what factors you can improve in order to compete with the largest players on the market.
I think customer satisfaction will be a key in the future. If you look into some historic data, even last year, 73% of consumers reported that they want to change which online retailer they buy from if they feel that the service is not good enough. It's not that it's bad. It's because it's not even good enough. So this whole thing, jokingly we say consumers are becoming dictators. But with the power of social media and the consumer has such a power nowadays, and they want and want and want. They want special offers. And they want personalized communication. They want special offers that are customized for them, and so on and so on. And I think having that in mind, combined with the fact that most consumers are getting less and less loyal, I think we will see a lot of consolidation in the future, meaning that a lot of mid-sized players need to even join forces, or they will have to throw in the towel. I hate to bring it to them, but that's reality.
Dark. Have you so I'm thinking, have you seen any like minor or maybe just not huge changes that e-commerce stores can implement with great effects to sort of adapt to the emerging trends?
Yeah, I think there is a lot of initiatives that we're seeing. We're seeing that happen in the whole kind of supply chain. We're seeing a lot of people that are focusing on providing a very smooth and kind of frictionless payment solution. We're seeing a lot of e-commerce players that are trying to provide the same-day deliveries, for example, or a great last-mile service for consumers. We're seeing some that are giving a personal shopper, so you talk to kind of a stylist, and they will help you to buy the product. So we're seeing a lot of small initiatives from everywhere, and I think there's no shame in trying. And there is, until today, I don't think there is a clear answer of what's going to work, because that's very different from one segment to another, and it's depending on who your customer is. But I'm seeing that everyone is trying to do something to kind of specialize themselves or to kind of lock their position in the market, which is fantastic to see. But I'm not sure if they're doing this from the position of strength, or if they're doing this from the position of weakness, that they're afraid of the future. So I'll leave that for the future to see why everything is happening.
Yeah, wow, that's going to be interesting. Okay, so just to sum up this whole look into the crystal ball type thing, what do you think the key steps are to succeeding or even just surviving as an e-commerce in the future?
Well, obviously, you're going to give your customer a wow experience. That's one of the main rules. Remember that it's all about the customer. So that's a very important sentence that you need to have in mind. I think you should change your perception as an e-commerce player, looking at things from a point of difference to rather point of view. I think you should. I think we should be more passionately driven rather than market driven. We need to make sure that our employees or the team that is working is actually, they are not just working for the sake of money, but they are, advocates. They love what they represent, and they're kind of the ambassadors of your brand. And I think that's an essential part of it, because you might have the best entrepreneurs or the best people sitting on top, but in an organization, but it's a team effort. So I think that is very important. That making sure that everyone on board is kind of you don't have employees, but rather missionaries that are kind of supporting the ultimate goal of the company. And obviously, as I mentioned before, I think customer satisfaction is very important in this sense. Being able to use data in the right way. And if you look at digital successes such as Uber or such as Spotify or Klarna or whatsoever, the key of success for those companies have been there's 4 things that I can mention that goes for all of those companies that have been digital successes. One is they are consumer centric. The other one is that they are digitalized. They are data driven, and they are providing a phenomenal user experience, and they're testing. They're not afraid of testing, even though they could be the market leader at that point. So that's it, I would say.
Great inputs. Thank you so much for your time, Simon.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
All right, folks, the future looks bright enough, doesn't it? I hope you've managed to gather plenty of insights for your e-commerce survival kit. As a little extra something, you can get your hands on our huge spreadsheet packed with growth ideas for your business. All you need to do is send me a screenshot of your 5-star rating of this podcast. My email is jf@sleeknote.com. Hope to hear from you. Bye.
This session of E-Commerce Boost was produced by Sleeknote. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on tactics and strategies that'll help boost your e-commerce.